Welcome to a special Papa's Perspective edition of the Giants Huddle podcast presented by Bob's Discount Furniture. Get Bob's Discount at the official furniture store and mattress partner of the New York Giants. Shop in store or at mybobs.com. Well, the Giants are going to be in our nation's capital this week, taking on the Washington Commanders. So we thought we'd have one of our special guests, Mathias Kiwanuka, join us to reminisce about a big Giants victory in Washington back in 2007. Kiwi, thanks for a couple minutes. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Great to have you on as well. All right, so let's go back to 2007. First 2 weeks of the season, you guys gave up 80 points as a defense. You're 0-2, and you're playing a division game. And let's face it, you guys got to win this game, or you're going to get buried in a hole at 0-3. So you go down to Washington, and you beat Washington. Final score is 24-17. But in typical Giants fashion, it had a lot of drama in this football game. Plaxico Burress has a 33-yard touchdown catch with 5:32 to go to put you guys up. But Washington starts driving down the field. What was the mindset of the defense at that point in time, knowing that you had been a little shell-shocked with your new defensive coordinator, Steve Spagnuolo?
Yeah, I think looking back on it, knowing how everything played out, it was almost chaos. You know, there was just so many things going on, so many guys who wanted this game, who wanted to win, who had years and years of experience. You got to remember, for me, this is my second year in the NFL. I came in as a defensive end and I moved to linebacker, so I had a lot of new things going on. So the amount of communication, I have to give a lot of credit to Antonio Pierce during that time period, because he was learning Spagnuolo as a person and trying to learn his defense, and then also trying to disseminate the information to everybody on the field. And that was kind of that was the beginning of, hey, this is all we got. Nobody else is going to believe in us. We've got to get it done. I believe Antonio started getting on the same page with Spags at that game or later on, and he gave him freedom to make some checks. And we played a decent amount of cover two from that point on.
So you're 0-2. You're playing in Washington. You go into the locker room. You're down 17-3. They kick a field goal with no time left at the end of the first half. What was it like in the locker room at that point? What was the tone? What was the mode? What was there a sense of panic at this point, or what was said?
No, I don't remember there being a sense of panic on the defensive side, at least. I remember there just being a lot of passion, a lot of guys who were older and who had been around, you know, like checking everybody, including themselves, and just, you know, expressing that we've got to do this. We have to get it done. You know, don't worry about what goes on the other side of the ball type situation. Like, every man do their job. It was kind of, you know, my baptism into the NFL and how important every single game is. Because, you know, you come from college to the NFL and you've only played a year or two, you expect to have this long career. So you're not thinking about longevity at that point. But for a lot of guys, you know, who are older, you know, this was the opportunity that they came to New York for. So there was just a lot of passion in that locker room. And I think that, going back to it, that was always something we tried to recreate after that week.
In the first half, Clinton Portis has 10 carries for 45 yards. In the second half, he gets 4 carries for a grand total of 15. How important was it to help lead that comeback, to make sure that you choked off the run in the second half?
The same things are true in grade school, high school, and NFL. You know, it's just, you've got to stop the run. You've got to stop the bleeding. You've got to be able to stop the run. Yeah, you need to play the pass, but the run is imperative. If you don't stop them from running the ball, they're going to continue to do it and run out the clock. So that was of grave importance at that time. But I also think it was more just a gut check time for everybody. Like, if you want it, let's go out there and stand up and let's get this done.
Well, you stood up because you were the Giants' leading tackler that day. You had 8 tackles. You had 1.5 sacks in the game, a couple hits on the quarterback. Did you feel like, hey, look, there's some matchups out here I could take advantage of, and that I need to assert myself and do my job, and everything else will kind of flow?
Yeah, I think at that point, you know, during training camp, getting moved and playing a new position was very difficult. So when I got a call in and saw a formation that I recognized and understood 100% what my job was, it allowed me to play so much faster and so much more free, and gave me a chance to put my skill set forward as opposed to, sitting back on my heels and trying to figure out, what my responsibility was. And also I just hate to lose, like I finally made it into the NFL. I was, going through all different kinds of things transition wise. And I had heard so much about NFC East and how tough these games are, and had seen it, on TV for so many years that I just wanted to go out there and make sure that I left my stamp on that game.
So Plexico has the touchdown catch, the 33-yarder. That happens with a little over 5 minutes to go in the game. You guys have the lead. Washington comes storming back, and they get the ball into Giant territory. And they have a 3rd and 10 at the 35-yard line. So with the amount of time left in the game, 3:37, they could potentially kick a field goal, try to get some points out of it. And you get a huge sack. You get a huge sack on the 3rd and 10 play of Campbell. Do you remember what kind of flowed on that play for you?
No, I just remember, being in situations, like I said, where I was familiar. I knew what my job was. I knew what my responsibility was. It gave me that ability to just play free. And I try to tell the young guys, when you understand what your job is so well that you don't have to think and you can put your hand in the dirt or, get ready to go as a linebacker, you turn everything off. So there's no sound in the stadium. There's no lights. It's legitimately just you and the individual in front of you. That's all that your picture is. And so it's all just about beating that one guy. And then once you beat that one guy, the reward is sitting right there. That's the quarterback.
You forced the fumble, you and Tuck. Unfortunately, the team didn't get the ball. So they wind up punting the ball. Giants start at their own 12-yard line. They go 3 and out. Washington uses their timeouts. And they get the ball back outside of the 2-minute warning, which saves them a timeout. And they start hitting. I mean, Randall L. has a 23-yard catch and run on a 3rd and 21. Santana Moss winds up getting a big play for 18 yards, which sets up the 4th and 3. But then they get called for a false start, so it's 4th and 8. Yep. And Campbell hits Moss again for 15 yards. Any panic at this point? Because you just let him off the hook on a 3rd and long and a 4th and long.
No, we had good leadership at that point. Call everybody up and, make sure everybody knows what they did wrong very quickly, and then let's line up and get to the next play. I thought that was something I took, throughout the rest of my career, is when you're playing with young guys, you want to correct them in real time so that they understand that they can't do that. So that just in case we see that again, but at the same time, you don't want to belabor the point. You don't want to get them to put their heads down. It's just about, hey, let's go. Made a mistake. Let's go. Let's get the next play.
So with about a minute to go, Campbell hits Antoine Randall L. for 20 yards, but Aaron Ross and James Butler keep him out of the end zone. Stop him at the 1-yard line. So boom, they spike the ball because they're out of timeouts. So now it's 2nd and goal. It's 2nd and goal at the 1. Talk about the pride of this defense as you're able to stop Campbell on the 2nd and goal, and then twice Liddell Betts gets stopped and doesn't get in. Take me through that camaraderie, that fellowship, that bond that you guys had to not allow them to score, because, the batting average scoring from that spot is pretty good in the NFL.
Yeah, it's funny you brought up James's name. I do remember that was kind of a growth point for me where, older individuals are looking at me and asking me, what did I see on certain things? So there was communication, especially down there in the goal line, between myself and Antonio, between myself and James, and then myself and the lineman in front of me. And that was kind of like the beginning of myself understanding, like, hey, we all have to be leaders at this point. Like, everybody has to understand all the positions and how they relate to everybody else, especially when you're standing back at the linebacker level. It's not just about what your job is. It's about how you relate to the people around you. If I see something as Banjo and he doesn't see it as such, then we're both going to be screwed. So we have to get on the same page.
It almost seems like, you stop him on the first one. Campbell, they throw a pass, right? He tries to hit, I think, the fullback Settle. So you stop him on that one. And then when you stop him on the 3rd and goal from the 1, does it almost feel like the momentum switched? It felt like the momentum almost switched to the defense, even though they're at the 1-yard line. You covered the pass play. You stopped that. Then they
Mhm.
tried to power the football and you stopped that.
Yep.
It almost felt like
We
we
got
now
them.
have the advantage
Yeah,
because we're beating you right here.
we've got them on their heels. So when you come out, I think offenses, they expect that they're gonna be able to get it in, right? So first time they run a play, it doesn't work. They're calm. They're okay. Let's just go. When you stop them again, now you start to see, there's a little bit of concern on the other side, and for us, your energy, your passion, and everything just grows and grows and grows. I mean, as young men, that's something that you think about, you dream about when you got a football in your living room and you're running around the couch, and all that kind of stuff. Like those are the moments that you envision in your head is getting that goal line stand and being the reason why your team won the game in the end. I mean, there are a few feelings that are more satisfying than that. I guess maybe, getting a couple sacks in a game, but in terms of as a game, as a team feeling, there's few things that are more exciting than that.
And obviously, you guys get the stop on 4th down, and you go on to win the football game. At that point in time, did you feel like, okay, we kind of got this now as a group? We figured it out through the first 2 weeks, giving up all those points to this game. We're getting gashed at halftime. But now everything that Spags is preaching and everything that we're taking in, and now we have the positive reinforcement of, as a collective group, as 11 men on the field, with our game and maybe our season on the line, we rose to the occasion. If we could do this, we can do anything.
Yeah, it was a moment of growth. And I think every team that is aspiring to be a championship team has to have moments like that. I think, the Giants coming off of their bye this year had another moment of growth where it's like when you're expected to win against a team and you've had time off, can you continue to do your preparation in the same way? Well, this is a different moment. This is when all the chips and all the cards are laid out there on the table. We're not saving anything else. We're not saving any defensive calls. We're not trying to set anything up. This is just about like true grit. Are you going to be able to dig in and dig deep? And is everybody going to be able to come together? I think I think it started to happen before that game or before that moment, but definitely after that game, there was a sense of, brotherhood, togetherness, and, F the world. Like we can make this happen. And we just continue to play that way.
Is there anything better from your experiences, not only from this game that we're talking about in 2007, but other games? Is there a better feeling than winning a division game on the road and then that ride to the airport on the bus, or in this case, the train?
We took the train, right?
The Giants take a train to Washington, and then that camaraderie when you win a division game on the road, that trip back. Is there anything better? Is that something that, as a former player, I know you don't miss the meetings, you don't miss the pain, you don't miss the cold tub and training room, but is that what you miss the most?
Oh my God, it's an amazing feeling. You're going to be hurt regardless. You go out there and you play, right? So you're going to feel like crap on the way back anyway. But there's something about the NFC East, the majority of teams being in a small area, and you're at events with the same guys. You see them, like they're constant. There's a lot of attention, and it's back this year, right? That always gets paid to the Northeast and Dallas. So yeah, it's a real gratifying feeling, because at that time you got to remember, like, the NFC East was the NFC beast. Like everybody was expecting, the team that comes out of this division to go on and do big things. So it was a badge of honor to come out with every single divisional win.
Mathias, I want to thank you so much. Happy holidays to you and your family. Great reminiscing with you. Always good seeing you. And let's see if the Giants can channel a little of that 2007 magic this Sunday when they play in Washington against the now Commanders.
Let's do it. They've got the talent.
Mathias Kiwanuka joining us for this special edition of the Popper's Perspective Giants Huddle podcast, presented by Bob's Discount Furniture. Bob's is back at it with major style and savings on furniture, mattresses, decor, and more for your home. Shop in-store or online at mybobs.com. Bob's Discount Furniture, the official furniture store and mattress partner of the New York Giants.